Chair McLaughlin, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Welcome to the December 9th, 2025 ETAC meeting. Recording secretary, is the meeting being recorded?
Yes.
My name is Mark McLaughlin, and I'm the chair of the Environmental Transportation Advisory Commission. I would like to call the meeting of ETAC on December 9th, 2025 to order at 4:15 p.m. We have 5 items on the agenda. Recording secretary, please call roll and advise if any commissioner will request an excused absence, remote participation due to invoking the emergency provision, physical absence. Recording secretary, please do a roll.
Chair McLaughlin,
Aye.
Vice Chair Baeza, Commissioner Alvarado,
Present.
Commissioner Cheney has not arrived yet. Commissioner Klein.
Here.
Commissioner Reynoso.
Present.
And Commissioner Vidori requested an excused absence. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would Commissioner Reyes lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Was that Commissioner Reynoso?
Okay. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Recording secretary, please describe the way the public can access this virtual meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed on the City of Santa Ana portal, www.santa-ana.prime.gov.com/public/portal. If anyone would like to provide a public comment, they may do so in person or on the City of Santa Ana portal, which I just described. The opportunity to speak is going to follow the next comment. If you wish to speak, please select the Zoom hand icon to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. If any members of the public are present at this in-person meeting, please be sure you have completed a speaker card and then hand it to me. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak. We will notify speakers when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on the agenda items or non-agenda items. Recording secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
There are no members of the public that wish to speak.
Thank you. Going to the consent calendar. At this time, we are ready to vote for the consent calendar. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
A motion.
Motion, Mario.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reynoso.
Thank you.
Recording secretary, please call roll for this motion.
Chair McLaughlin,
Aye.
Vice Chair Baeza,
Aye.
Commissioner Alvarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein, Commissioner Reynoso.
Aye.
The motion passes for the consent calendar approved by a vote to 5-0 with Commissioner Vidori absent and Commissioner Cheney absent.
This is the end of the consent calendar and the business calendar items. Please, business calendar item number 4, sidewalks replacement program update. This item is informational only. Arturo, Assistant Public Works Manager, will present the item at this time.
Okay. Hello, everyone. and Good evening, Chair McLaughlin and Commissioners. My name is Arturo Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Public Works Maintenance Manager in the Maintenance Services Division of Public Works. So, today's presentation, just a quick brief overview on the sidewalk replacement program that the city has in place and some of its historical background and how we got to the point where we are today. So just a quick program overview. The goal of this program, improve safe walking accessibility for pedestrians and increase active modes of transportation such as walking and hiking. The areas where work is done, areas are prioritized by the highest volume of need and mitigating ADA safety hazards throughout the city's 800 miles of sidewalk. Again, the goal is to obviously be in compliance with ADA and to reduce the city's liability due to tripping hazards involving sidewalks. Currently, as you may know, you folks live in the city, this is a need that is citywide. It's not isolated to either the older parts or the newer parts of the city. This is everywhere. Currently, there is a backlog it goes back to about at least 10 years with 5,000 reported locations. If we had a magic wand and we had sufficient money to repair all of these locations at this time, we're talking probably in excess of around $10 million. That's to fix everything right now, right? But as we know, the actual need is much greater than that because there are locations out there that we are just not made aware of. You know, it's 800 miles of sidewalk. We can't get eyes on everything. So this is just of what's been reported to us at this time, just to give you an idea of the gravity of the need, right? This next slide gives you an idea, a snapshot of the last 7 fiscal years of the funding that's been dedicated and lack of. That first fiscal year of 2019 to 2020, you can see there was 0 dedicated funding for this type of a program, this type of service. 0. It wasn't until starting of fiscal year 2020, 21, where we made an investment of roughly almost $1.5 million, $1 million coming from the general fund, and the balance coming from the gas tax. Ever since that year, we've been able to make more dedicated effort. Starting in fiscal year 22-23, we got a commitment from council where they made a commitment from an annual dedicated $1 million from the general fund that is solely dedicated for this program. Okay, so basically in the last 7 years, from 2019 through this current fiscal year, $8 million have been invested solely to repair sidewalks in the city. Yes.
Why did the gas tax funding end?
Well, the gas tax funding, the gas tax budget funds a variety of different programs for the city. It's very volatile depending on so we needed a more secure funding source, so that's where the general fund came in.
Yes, that I can understand, but why is there no gas tax money to supplement the city's $1 million from 22-23 onward?
I'm gonna let Rudy chime in.
Hi, Acting Public Works Director Rudy Rosas says this is sort of a broader answer than just the sidewalks. We receive about $15 million a year from gas tax revenue. That comes in 2 flavors from the state. Half of that is shall only be spent on roadway pavement program. So that leaves about 7 mil plus or minus for our street operations, Out of the gas tax, we fund traffic signal maintenance. We pay Edison to keep the lights on our streetlights. We fund pothole fill operations. And basically, the answer is there's just not enough gas tax to go around. With Measure X, there became available funding, and that's what's listed here. That what's shown as general fund is actually through the Measure X measure. Funding is able to be appropriated for sidewalk purposes at the amounts Arturo has shown.
One more follow-up, if I may. Measure X tax is going to decrease in 2 or 3 years. Will the city still be able to allocate the $1 million then?
That's correct. Measure X is set to sunset the, I believe it's 0.5% in 2029. The projection is that will be a $30 million or so impact in terms of taxable revenue. So there's a $30 million potential shortfall in general fund in 2029, 2030. Will the funding for sidewalks continue? Will be up to council and city management for very difficult decisions in a few years when we get there.
Thank you.
All right, so with this next slide, just kind of gives you an idea of the work, the amount of work and where the work has been performed since July of 2020. So overall speaking, we've done work in 31 of the 64 recognized city neighborhoods. They're listed right there. In terms of actual locations, if you look at the table there, roughly 3,600 locations have been repaired. Again, the type of work, the majority of the work is sidewalks, 365,000 square feet. There is some curb and gutter that have been replaced as well, some curb ramp installation, and some driveway approaches as well. This map here, all of the areas in red indicate where work has been done. So again, just to kind of illustrate that the need is everywhere, because that's where the work has been done. It's not just isolated to a certain area or corner of the city. The work has been performed everywhere, and the need is everywhere. A quick update regarding the program for this year. As mentioned, the budget is $1 million from the general fund. The new change is that all of this work was contracted out. Used to be it was bid out and it was performed by an outside contractor. The job was awarded. This year, at the direction of council and the city manager, there will be an in-house construction crew that is being put together and that will handle this workload. Some of the benefits for this now is that this will be in-house staff performing this work, so they will be available year-round versus when it was contracted out, the contractor would only be in town for 3 to 4 months, and then after that funding runs out, there's no more work for 3/4 of the year. Now with this in-house crew, in-house, the work can be done year-round, ongoing services versus just a brief 3 to 4 month project. The planned work for this fiscal year, we will be performing work in segments of Sandpoint, Flower Park, and Delhi neighborhoods. Again, in terms of the need, right? locations are prioritized based on the highest volume of need and ADA safety hazards. We are constantly making the pitch to council to maintain, and we always request whatever funding that we can get because again, based on the need. We are looking to perform a citywide comprehensive assessment, basically hire a contractor to go out and assess current conditions, and just to get something on the books for liability purposes, just so we have that, and then gives us a better idea to plan for the future of just how much of a task we have at hand. Another way to try and small bite at the apple, whenever construction there are other citywide projects, we try and incorporate sidewalk work as much as possible into those street projects or parks projects or whatever other projects that are out there. And that's it for the presentation. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Arturo? Just a couple of quick comments. One of the things that I see also is going to happen here is if we're relying on the gas tax to be an indicator of spending, how is that going to be going from a prediction point of view 10 years from now? Because if we're more EV dependent versus gas, we're going to have a decrease in taxes just coming from that element.
Again, Rudy Rosas, great question, Chair McLaughlin. The projections on the gas tax long-term is decreasing, right? Year over year, percent here or there, but long-term decrease. There is activity at the state level, at the legislature, and various roadway sort of lobbyist groups to enact some changes into how the gas tax is structured, into how funds are collected for roadway improvements. But ultimately, that is up for the state legislature to, amend existing laws and make changes to how road improvements are funded. But the short answer to the question is yes, as currently structured, long-term, that revenue source is also decreasing over time.
Is there any approach that's being taken or thought of as far as doing this from a little less disruptive situation? I mean, I see a lot of sidewalks walking the dogs in the morning, and these neon half moons that are on the sidewalk, and there's asphalt in between. And it looks like a house that's got the yellow brick road on their front lawn. Kind of looks like the same thing, except it's neon. And I mean, is there any way that that's being looked at from a different perspective?
Yeah, great question, Chair McLaughlin. Once a location has been reported, right? I'm talking just via the app, or a resident calls in, hey, there's a sidewalk, a tripping hazard, right? Once we have been made aware of that, staff will respond and inspect it, right? Depending on the severity of the lift, the city has options, right? The first option is to grind it. If it's low enough, if it's a small lift, we can grind it, and that solves the issue as a temporary fix, right? If it's such a lift where a grind is not sufficient, we will have to ramp it with the asphalt. Now, in order for staff, once it's inspected, the marking paint is made to a kind of like as a warning for pedestrians. Hey, watch out! There's a lift here before the ramp goes in place, right? Now, once the ramp is put in place, that is also meant as a temporary method until eventually there is sufficient funding that will allow for the eventual replacement of that panel, right? Now, in some cases, when we are ramping, we try and color match the ramps as much as possible with the gray paint to match the sidewalks as much as possible, understanding that it's not going to be a perfect match. But unless we have $10 million right now, we just can't get away from the ramping portion.
Well, the other thing is that, had a friend of ours brought it to our attention, but they were driving in Irvine and they said that there were drones going up and down the streets. And he did some inquiry on the whole thing. He said it was Public Works looking at sidewalks. Is that something that you?
We've, oh,
I mean, to send crews out to make this assessment versus.
there are a variety of options. I mean, I've heard of, of cars driving the streets and they scan the entire perimeter, and they will notate everything, not just the sidewalk, the curb and gutter, street conditions, pavement, they will identify everything. I've never heard about the drones, but I mean,
Yeah, no, there was just right down the main drags,
Yeah.
debris and things like that.
those are, I mean, you'd be surprised where technology has taken this in the last couple of years. There's a lot of advancements. The assessment portion that we're looking at is it's more of, boots on the ground, and it's been a proven method that is used by other cities. But again, that is an option. I mean, we can certainly take a look and see what's out there.
Well, it can also lend to some consistency too, because if you got a crew over here that's out there putting on, assessing what's going on, then you got a crew across town that's assessment is similar, but not the same. Well, how can they be similar or the same if we looked at it from a different perspective? I mean, it just seems to me that it's a nice way of reducing some costs of having boots on the ground.
Sure. Oh, yeah, I mean, we'll, again, we're still in the early stages here, but I'm sure we can look into that option.
So again, I'll add a little more flavor to this, if you will. I think one of the elements that I think is discussed, but I'll go into more detail. We have, Arturo did a good job of talking about what areas we've already addressed, and he showed the map with the color of where we've been. We have a map of the same, variety of all the areas we already have reports from the community from using the My Santa Ana app to say, hey, this sidewalk here is defective. It needs to be replaced or fixed in some manner. I think last I heard, we're in the thousands of requests for these types of repairs to be made. So we currently have a deep list that we're working off of to go and make repairs and replacements. In terms of mitigating the city's liability as it relates to potential trip and fall claims, one of the elements that's important is to have a established policy and protocol with proactive evaluations, right? So not just relying on the public's My Santa Ana app request, but have a program in place where we actively go out and assess our sidewalks. And to the point Arturo is making, yes, there's new technology out there and there's a lot of new firms and startups. We've gone to conferences and been kind of amazed at some of the potential ways of performing these evaluations. But today, right now, the tried and true sort of proven method is still physical evaluation, going, notating, taking pictures, geocoding where these defects are. And so for the short term, the program will rely on this sort of, let's say, conservative, what's sort of standard fare, so that we can stand up in the court of law to say, look, our program is following sort of standard practices, as we wait for sort of technology to prove itself, and maybe then we make some technology leaps ourselves. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the commissioner? Go ahead.
Commissioner Baiza, thank you for going over the presentation. And I was just wondering if, based on the repairs that have been completed, are you able to tell what the causes are for all those repairs? I know you mentioned, or it was talked about, the sidewalk going up because of the roots. Like, is that one of the main reasons we need repairs on sidewalks? And if it was, like, are there any preventative measures, like maybe planting for the future, different trees that wouldn't cause that?
Sure. Thank you. Good question. Yes, the vast majority of these lifts are caused by tree roots, right? Trees grow, they will follow the path of water. And, the thing is, I think I mentioned this in the last presentation I did about trees. Uh, we have a very mature tree canopy, tree inventory. Some of the trees that you see planted should not have been planted in the first place. They're too large for the size of our parkways. So now we're having to deal with the repercussions of that. Present day, we are more cognizant of that, and going forward, obviously, we plant the appropriate tree for the appropriate parkway.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Commissioner Reyna, so, how do you prioritize what repairs to be done first?
Great question. Again, it's based on at this point, because since the need is so great everywhere, it's a combination of what's on the list, on the backlog. Again, we try and concentrate on to get the better to make the best use of the funds. Obviously, we want to concentrate work in one area, if you say, to eliminate downtime and travel time and just get the most bang for our buck. But because the need is so wide, it's everywhere right now. I mean, it's almost just pick any area in the city and you'll get them done, right? I mean, you can identify areas that need to be done. However, like I said, there is a backlog. We go off of the list, and if we just keep working at it.
And then the in-house concrete crew, does that slow down other projects or require you to hire more employees?
That concrete crew, council authorized I think the hiring of 12 staff a few months ago. They are in the works. From what I know, some staff is on board. Um, their main focus is to be doing concrete work, such as sidewalks.
For that team, the concrete work, it's based on budget, or how, like, are they every single day? Because if you have them every single day, you spend that budget in a month, right?
No, correct. At this point, the budget is set at $1 million. Like I said, the program has not been rolled out yet, but
Do you know what it's gonna look like? Like, with that budget, how long, you guys have, like,
I'll
per month?
I'll let
That-
Peter.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioner. Great question. Quick question. Cesar Barrera, acting city engineer, also deputy city engineer for water resources for quite a few years. Thank you for the question. It's a hybrid approach. Back in April last year, we did get approved by council to bring in water main construction team that will address primarily water main construction and as needed city initiatives. So it's going to be a hybrid balance approach. We've already finished up hiring majority, I would say 90% of staff for this crew, and we're currently training. And the sidewalk program has been vital for the training of the onboarding as we onboard this new staff. But yeah, it's a hybrid approach and doesn't impact the team, integrates it to their schedules. Not every day can you do one project at a time. And so they'll set up. And right now we're procuring material for water main construction at a neighborhood. So while we're waiting, we'll be doing other city initiatives. One of the initiatives being the sidewalk program, where we're going to get, like Arturo was saying, the bang for a buck per square foot.
Who's in charge? Where do the curbs for the bike lanes and everything else, where do those curbs play into your responsibility and budget? Is it part of what we're talking about here, or is it something in addition to what's been there in place for a number of years when it comes to patching holes and things like that?
Sure. So again, everything in the public right of way, from back a sidewalk on one side of the street to back a sidewalk of the other, is under the purview of Public Works, right?
The sidewalk to sidewalk.
Sidewalk to sidewalk from one to the other, inclusive of the bike lanes, the medians, the pavement. Gas tax is an appropriate use to maintain that entire space. So one of the, for example, maintaining the landscape in the medians, gas tax pays for that, right? General fund can also pay for anything in the public right of way. We've a couple of different funding sources that helps maintain, you know, do the maintenance on what's existing, capital improvements, all that. But to answer your question, yeah, these same funding sources are used to cover everything from one end to the other. Specifically, as you go through the budget, council allocates dollars specifically for certain projects or certain uses. In this case, there's $1 million for sidewalk. And I cannot take that $1 million that's been allocated for sidewalk and spend it on trees, for example. They've set a budget amount for trees, right? So as you go through the budget, there's different allocations for the different areas. And that's how we manage our year. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, I've just seen, as you drive around the city, just seeing a lot of these curved turnarounds and everything else that are in the street and on the sidewalks and the bump outs and things like that. And then you see this, rubber, black rubber all over the bump outs. I mean, I saw one the other day where the guy actually drove inside the bike lane. How they did that, I have no idea, but he got halfway through. He got halfway through and he couldn't go any further because the wheels were pinched. And you sit there and go, what was wrong with this picture? But I mean, I've seen some of that as we go across town, and it's not just one or two, three places, it's all over. I mean, you look at the bump outs on Main Street, that were just put in a year ago, and they look like they've gone through a battle of,
Mhm.
it looks worse than it did without the bumps.
There, comment noted, there's a lot of need throughout the city to continuously maintain all of our assets in the streets. Agreed.
Okay.
Is there a city that is not in the same predicament that we are? That we know of?
When we say predicament, Commissioner Alvarado,
The
is this
$10 million and
the funding predicament?
yeah.
I think it's in talking with a lot of our colleagues in other cities in the county, we all are experiencing the same issues to one degree or the other. Different cities are set up in different ways and receive funding different ways. I'll give, for example, Irvine. We a lot of times compare, Irvine. They have Mello-Roos and different sort of property tax bases. So you don't see the revenue coming in a certain way. You see it in a different way than here in Santa Ana, right? Our property taxes by comparison are very low. We don't have the Mello-Roos, these other things. And so therefore we rely on the sales tax. And so there's different sort of implications. But, across the board, yes, every city is beginning to feel the challenges in our public works colleagues on how to keep up, because these funding sources, i.e. gas tax and some of these others, are they're not growing with the demand. They're going in the opposite direction. Correct.
That's it.
All right, very good. Arturo, thank you.
Thank you, Arturo. Moving on to business calendar item number 5, water resource projects update. This item is for informational purpose. Fallon Franklin, senior civil engineer, and Jose Mendia, senior civil engineer, will present this item.
Hello.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Fallon Franklin, and this is Jose Medina, and we are senior civil engineers for the Water Resources Division. Today, we'll be presenting the Public Works Agency Water Resources Project updates. We'll be covering key infrastructure updates and progress on our major capital improvement projects. But first, let's briefly discuss where the Water Resource Division fits within the Public Works organizational chart. Water production, which I predominantly work with, and engineering and administration, which Jose predominantly works in, falls under the Water Resources Division, as we can see on this chart, which ultimately falls within the Public Works Agency, which has been serving the Santa Ana community for more than 150 years. Today, we'll be presenting the Public Works Agency Water Resources Division capital improvement projects specific to water production. And then secondly, Jose will be presenting his section on the capital improvement projects within engineering and administration. So first, what is water production? Water production consists of dedicated personnel who manage and maintain critical water infrastructure, including groundwater wells. The group is responsible for the operation, maintenance, and management of the water facilities around the city, which include 20 active groundwater wells, 7 pump stations with 10 water storage reservoirs, 7 imported water connections, 4 pressure regulating stations, and 1 PFAS water treatment facility that's currently active at our well 40. And all of this water infrastructure can be managed remotely by our advanced SCADA system, which stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. To work in water production, State of California certifications in water treatment and distribution are required. In addition, CWEA certifications related to sewer and wastewater operations are also required. When it comes to the management of the capital improvement projects, the water production team manages not only rehabilitation projects, but also PFAS treatment projects. So we currently have 1 PFAS treatment project online, but we have a multitude of projects that are currently in construction or soon to be in construction. But first, what is PFAS, right? So PFAS stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. There are a group of over 14,000 different compounds within PFAS, and they've been used for many years in common household and industrial products such as nonstick cookware, water-resistant materials, and some specialty applications like firefighting foam. Because PFAS are very stable compounds, they can persist in the environment over time. That's why they're also referred to as forever chemicals. As science and testing methods have continued to improve, regulatory agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency has developed updated standards to address PFAS in drinking water. In response, the city has taken a proactive approach to monitoring and treating PFAS to ensure continued regulatory compliance and water quality protection. As you can see on the slide, the city currently has 4 different projects that are in construction or soon to be in construction. Our first project is Well 27 and 28, which involves the treatment of 2 groundwater wells into a centralized treatment facility, as you can see in this rendering right here. So these facilities use ion exchange and filtration technologies specifically designed to remove PFAS compounds from groundwater sources, allowing us to consistently deliver water that meets all state and federal drinking water standards. A simple way that I like to refer to these treatment facilities is like a massive Brita filter, except instead of using granulated activated carbon, we're using ion exchange resin, which acts like a magnet and attracts the PFAS compounds, thus removing it from the water before it enters into the distribution system. We can expect to be complete with the Well 27 and 28 PFAS project by the first quarter of 2027. And in total, the project is estimated to cost $15 million. The next project is going to be Well 38, which is also currently in construction. The estimated cost is going to be $7 million, and we actually expect to be complete with this project by the first quarter of next year, which is very soon. The other project that we have currently in construction is the Well 31 PFAS treatment project. The total of that is estimated to be around 8.6 million, and we are expected to complete that project by the end of 2026. So that's really exciting news. We have some projects completing quite soon and others actually starting, which leads me into the last project, the largest of the PFAS projects within the city, which I'm super excited about. We are most likely going to be starting construction on the John Garthy Reservoir Station PFAS project in the first quarter of next year. The exciting part about that is it's going to be one of the largest centralized treatment facilities within the city, and it's going to treat around 5 different wells, our well 18, 36, 39, 24, and 32, which I'll talk about further on the next slide. So the estimated project cost for that is going to be around $40 million. Because Orange County Water District manages the regional groundwater basin, they actually provide funding support to the city for the construction of these PFAS treatment facilities, which is really awesome because it significantly offsets the project costs. In addition, the city also actively seeks grant funding to further reduce the costs. The next projects that water production also works on are capital improvement projects related to well rehabilitations. So we have 2 projects, well 29 and 32, which are key examples of projects that restore well capacity, improve efficiency, and extend the life of our water infrastructure. The well 29 project included replacing an older pump and motor with new equipment, constructing a new protective building, installing a perimeter CMU wall, and upgrading the electrical and instrumentation system. As a betterment to the community as well, we had also resurfaced the tennis courts and installed 3 new pickleball courts, as well as a digital billboard for the United School District to potentially use for public outreach. The Well 32 project involved raising a previously below-ground well to above ground, constructing a new protective building, installing new electrical and instrumentation equipment, and rehabilitating a well that had been offline for more than 20 years. As a betterment to the community as well, we had also resurfaced the basketball courts and the tennis courts in Mayberry Park. Together, these projects support the city's ability to meet water demands while maintaining a resilient and reliable water supply. At this time, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Jose, to walk through the projects managed under engineering and administration.
Thank you, Fallon, and good evening, commissioners. Engineering and administration. The section provides engineering and administration for the city's water and sewer facilities and designs infrastructure improvements for water and the wastewater system. Our team oversees and prioritizes long-term water and sewer resource planning, capital improvement projects. I will be highlighting the 2 projects that we have in construction here shortly in the next slide. Engineering design and engineering oversight services, asset management, contract management, development, engineering, and permit services. And lastly, we have a health and safety program. Our aging infrastructure, our system is approximately 480 miles of water main, 390 miles of sewer main. That's roughly 900 total miles of infrastructure. Of those 900 miles, 20% of it is past its useful life. As we move on to 2040, which is 15 years away from today, that number is going to increase to 70% of the infrastructure that will reach the useful life. And lastly, I want to highlight our water and sewer resources management plans. Those are utilized for us to prioritize capital improvements program. They're essentially a roadmap that guide us for the next 10 years or so, what we need to prioritize. As Fallon mentioned earlier, we like to take a proactive approach, so we're trying to get ahead of the maintenance needs. However, as you can see, it's kind of getting ahead of us. There's too many miles to maintain. These are the two current water CIP projects that are ongoing. For those of you that have been lucky enough to drive by Bristol, you might have seen them. First one I want to highlight is the section between Civic Center and Washington Avenue. That section is Bristol 3A, replacing 600 linear feet of 8-inch water main, 760 linear feet of 12-inch water main. Project cost for that's approximately 1.9 million. The water portion of it is already complete. This is actually a small section of a bigger project. The street is going to be rehabilitated once the project is all done and is scheduled to be completed in May of 2026. The next project down below, it's Bristol between Warner Avenue and St. Andrews Place. That one is a replacement of 1,300 linear feet of 8-inch water main, 2,700 linear feet of 12-inch water main. Budget is 3.2 million. Installation of the water main is scheduled to start in January of 2026. Like the other Bristol project, this is part of a bigger scope that includes street improvements. So the completion of the total project for there is going to be in December of 2026. So we have a long way to go on that particular section. And with that concludes our presentation, and we'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jose. Does anybody have any questions for Alan? or Jose?
The improvements that you're doing now, what's the lifespan of the improvements?
Are you referring specifically to the water main? The water main pipeline, once they're installed, the average shelf life for them is typically 40 years. Some of the vendors will try to push and say, oh, we can last longer than that. But generally speaking, once you get to 40 years, we want to start looking into replacing them.
How does that water main pipe fail after 40 years?
Just over time, there's, material in the ground naturally degrades. The pressure of the water line will create like minor issues with the joints where all the fittings are at. Think of it like the piping in your home. It won't last forever. You got to maintain that as well. It's just much bigger scale.
My last question for the water wells, the bringing up of the water wells, the renovating the run wells, the rehab of the water wells, was that due to we are predicting in the future that we're going to need more water? Is it to come up to a goal of water? Were we under? Are we over? What does that mean for the public?
That's a great question. Thank you. So essentially, well 29 specifically, we were utilizing that well prior. And so I believe the rehabilitation was helpful in actually protecting the well itself. It was, I guess, on a very busy intersection. So we put a building over it to house it and protect it, as well as the CMU walls. So we did momentarily lose that capacity, but the city itself is really resilient, and there is a lot of redundancy. So we've still maintained a good groundwater production even without that well. But the addition of more capacity is just helpful for redundancy and overall resiliency for your groundwater system. In addition, well 32, which is the one that was taken from below ground to above ground, that well had been offline for around maybe over 20 years. So I guess the positive part about bringing that back is we do get additional capacity. However, the usage is based off of the demand in the system. So with the 20 active groundwater wells that we have, and I guess adding one back to service, that does allow us to have more capacity. However, we can only produce as much as is demanded. So we've always been great at keeping up with the demand, even with the loss of wells and having to turn off some offline. But the new well 32 is also capable of producing around 2,500 gallons per minute. So that's a nice addition into the
Do the wells
System.
run always at the capacity that they're able to, or do you guys shut them down? Let's say we have too much water.
Oh, that's a great question. One of my favorites. So we have a pretty advanced system. Some of our wells have something called variable frequency drives, which allow a well to fluctuate how much it's producing. So if the system is saying that, hey, in our distribution, we have around 60 PSI, it's going to drop. Then the well is going to produce more because of the variable frequency drive. And I guess a similar situation can be the case is if there's too much pressure in the system, then the variable frequency drive is going to cause the well to slow down and produce less water to keep up with it. In addition, our 7 different reservoir sites also have variable frequency drives on their boosters. And so we're ultimately only producing as much as the system is demanding. So variable frequency drives are awesome because they allow us to maintain the demand, but also do it in an efficient manner where we're not overproducing. So wells will shut off based off of demand, ultimately, yes.
Thank you. My last question, and probably not for you, maybe for Rudy, or maybe Rudy takes it up to somebody else higher. Is there a point where we can produce more water so that water rates can come down, like supply and demand?
Yes, good afternoon. Armando Fernandez, Acting Water Resources Manager. Thank you for having us here. One of the things that, just going to go back a little bit back in time. The city of Santa Ana residents have done a great job as far as, doing water conservation. While we were selling water, producing, we were about 40,000 acre feet. Right now, we're about 32,500 acre feet. So over the years, through conservation measures and methods, our residents have saved X amount of water and, that we can use it elsewhere. But one of the things, we're sitting what we call a bowl of water. And through the Orange County Water District, they do the management of the basin. And this is a group of the people that we're part of it. And right now we are able to pump 85%, where, 5-10 years ago, we were only pumping 75%. So that gives us the flexibility that we're having cheaper water to provide to our customers, versus what we had in the past. Can we pump 100%? Yes, we can. With the system that we have in place, we can. But one of the things, after you pump 85%, there's certain restrictions, and the cost to pay to pump the water is, cost prohibitive. That, the cost benefit, analysis is not prudent for us to pursue it that way. But if Orange County Water District ever decides to increase our pumping capacity, we have the means and methods to go higher.
Any other questions? All right, Larry.
Yes, sometime in the past year, it was mentioned that there's a new app coming out whereby residents could monitor their water usage. When will that be available to the public?
And I'll take that one. Thank you for asking that question. And I haven't forgotten about it. And we are right now, we're culminating the last part of the project. And we are working internally how we're going to, unveil this to the rest of our community so they can make use. But I'll get your information. I'll walk you through so you can sign up and you can actually view your water use as we speak. And to anybody interested, you guys can do it right now. There's an app that you can sign up as part of being a resident of the city of Santa Ana. You can log in with your customer information that you have, and it tells you how much water you're using. So you can track your water use. In the event you ever have a leak, immediately you can tell, there will be a spike, in your water use. Or even, you can see when you have your sprinklers on, you can see when, how much water you use.
It's real time?
It's as close as we can say it's a real time.
Okay.
Of course, it has a little bit of a delay, but it's
Right.
near real time.
But it's like a day, or is it?
No,
a
no,
month?
it's within,
Minutes.
a few, every 15 minutes,
Got
but
it,
that's,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken, that's what we're taking reads.
Will the app be available on phone or yes? Yeah.
It is a website, and you can log in and you can view it from your, personal phone. Yes.
Anyone else? Thank you, Fallon. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate your time. This concludes our business calendar. And moving on to comments and updates. Staff, do we have any comments or updates at this point in time for the commission?
So I'd like to take this opportunity, thank you, for a couple of comments, and I'll invite Zed Kekula, our traffic engineer, to give us an update on First Street. So I wanted to mention an update on the OC streetcar. You hopefully will be seeing a lot more in the next coming months of safety outreach, both from the city of Santa Ana and OCTA, because they're going to start testing the OC streetcars along the tracks. It's not going to be in service. There will be no passengers, but they will be starting to do training and safety, essentially breaking the system in, if you will. So that's good news, with the goal of having revenue service, meaning officially passengers, in July of 2026. The second news I wanted to share, today we had the official ribbon cutting ceremony for the Santiago Park Phase 2 improvements. So that's improving Santiago Park from Main Street to about Lawson Way, or the log cabin, if you can think of where Santiago Park is. This represents the second of 3 independent phases of Santiago Park, reinvesting in that and bringing it back. So this was about a $3 million investment. And we have a third and final phase, which we are going to be submitting grant applications for, which we think we're going to be very competitive. The state already gave us money for Phase 1 and Phase 2, so we hope they're going to also fund Phase 3, so stay tuned for that. And lastly, I will invite Zed to give us an update on the First Street multimodal. So last we talked about this, we covered a variety of options that were on the table. We've had a lot of community meetings, a lot of engineering and analysis work has happened. That is, so of the, I want to say 8 options that were originally considered, we are narrowing that down, and I believe we are down to our top 3 at this point. So Zed, we don't have any drawings or diagrams to share, but Zed can kind of walk us through what those 3 options are.
Thank you, Rudy, and good evening, commissioners. I first want to thank several of the commissioners who actually attended some of those community meetings. So thank you very much. I do want to start off by saying, if you guys want to see exhibits, I will invite you. We do have another community meeting that's literally taking place right now at the Roosevelt Walker Center up until 6:30. If for some reason you can't make it, we have a second community meeting, same place, Roosevelt Walker Community Center, this Thursday from 4:30 to 6:30. So I'll talk about some of the options that are the top 3 options right now, but just to make sure that you guys have that option, if you guys want to see exhibits, I invite you to attend that community event. Again, either if you could do it today or Thursday, you're totally welcome to attend that. So as Rudy mentioned, the First Street multimodal plan started off with a lot of options. Early on, it was 10 plus, all right? Early on, even before it started kind of going out to the community. Through the community input, some initial rough analysis, those 10 options, plus or minus 10 options, have been weeded down to the top 3 options. And that's what I just want to kind of give you a brief description of what those 3 options are. So the very first option is basically, if you guys are familiar with First Street, which I'm sure you are, currently First Street has 3 lanes in each direction of traffic. It has no bikeway facilities whatsoever. So the first option is basically keeping the 3 lanes of traffic that you see out there right now and just accommodating what we call a 2-way cycle track on the south side of First Street. So that will require the travel lanes to kind of shift over a little bit, but we would still maintain basically the same capacity of vehicular travel on the roadway. This would also include the
buses as we currently have them, they would stop in the travel lane as you see it. So that one would have very minimal impact on the vehicle capacity of the roadway. And we would add the component of a bikeway on the south side of the street. On top of that, there would be additional crossings along the corridor that would be implemented, and that's still kind of being evaluated as we speak. So that's the first option that's on the table. The second option, based on the analysis we received, there's more traffic heading eastbound on First Street towards the freeways from Bristol to First Street. I'm sorry, from Bristol to the freeways. So the second option would require maintaining 3 lanes of travel on First Street going eastbound towards the freeway. However, to accommodate the need and the space for bikeway, there will only be 2 lanes of travel coming westbound from the freeways. So with that extra space that would be created, we would be able to accommodate bike lanes on the sidewalk. They won't be on the street. There will be bike lanes on the sidewalk level. And that would be the option that we have as option 2. The buses would also continue to operate as they operate currently, meaning they would stop on the active travel lane, and that stays the same. So that's the second option. The third option would require removing a single lane in each direction, meaning First Street would have 2 lanes of travel each direction for vehicles, and that third lane would be a transit-only lane / potentially for bikeways as well, shared one. So that one would mean that the transit would actually operate quite well during the peak hours and so forth on First Street, because they would have their own basically dedicated lane out there. But the capacity for the vehicles would definitely be impacted. So those are the 3 options that we currently have. We just recently received the traffic analysis from the consultants, which I haven't had a chance to review, but I do understand that there are some impacts in terms of the capacity for the vehicle traffic out there, which we have to assess. But I really want to go back to just stressing that we do have the community input that we will love. If you guys could share or any concerns you have, go to the community event today or Thursday. Let us know what you think. We do anticipate coming back early next year to give you guys a full update on where we're at. So if you have any questions right now, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Hearing none. Thank you. Appreciate the update. Okay. Are there any other comments from the commissioners?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
There you go.
I have a comment. I wanted to express concern about a recent pedestrian fatality in the city where an elderly woman was struck by a trash truck. Given that it occurred in a residential area, I'm worried about the use of roundabouts in tight neighborhood streets. And if they adequately protect pedestrians that are older adults, children, or people with mobility challenges. So I'd like to request if we can look into a focused pedestrian study that evaluates the effectiveness of a roundabout in a tight residential street, including where large vehicles have to navigate through it. And if possible, an analysis of possible safety enhancements or alternatives, and some sort of like lessons learned review post-accident, just to ensure that we're prioritizing the safety of our most vulnerable pedestrians as we move forward with construction. And then I also just wanted to mention that the EJ Action Committee has 2 positions where we're seeking representatives for the Southwest and West cluster. So if you're interested or you know anybody, if you could please check out the city's website, the Neighborhood Initiatives and Environmental Services webpage has more information.
Thank you.
And,
Mario.
yeah, so just to piggyback off what Denise said, I don't know whether Public Works is going to be privy to the investigation of the accident. I know that there's a couple investigations for the private company that was involved and with the city. And and I know that Denise has asked Commissioner Reynoso is asking for a study. I think it would be good to, if you don't have to present it to us, but see if you're able to understand that investigation and see what if anything comes out of that as well.
Okay, do we have any comments from staff at this time? In addition to what we just said?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, one thing I'd like to just note, thank you for Rudy and Lori and a number of other people that came out for the dedication of the historic Floral Park monument that was just recently put in. We appreciate that, and it was a very good turnout for everybody. And thank you for taking the time, because I know wasn't easy on a Sunday afternoon. So anyway, it's a great job. Thank you for that.
Oh, sorry. If you guys can send us the events that Public Works is out, because I don't get all of them, so we can be out there, please.
Okay, with that said, moving on to the meeting.
So, let me, sorry, just to understand the request. The commissioners would like to be informed of the events where Public Works is hosting some sort of event, like public ceremonies. All right, understood. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to meeting adjournment. The next regular scheduled ETAC meeting will occur on Tuesday, January 13th at 4 p.m. The ETAC meeting of December 9th, 2025 is adjourned at 5:16.
If not, I can run up to go get them. Would you please? I forgot. Yeah.
I won't be here for the January. I don't know. I was in Washington at the transportation that week. So can I get?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And in March, I'm going on a trip to Mexico City, so I won't be at the March.
Oh.
January and March.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll
Okay,
remind
thank
you.
you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Everybody have heard like Chris. Yeah, I had. Absolutely, I don't know. Yeah, so but it was fun, also with the outside meeting set up. And you know, that.
How are you? I'm good.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
You're always running around doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it just.
Yeah.
So, you know. Not slowing down.
First one is. And I'm just, I love it. You know, I don't know. It's just how you look.
Lots of new things for me this year, for sure. Yeah, especially as like a senior now, so there's been a lot of things.
When did you?
Probably December of last year. So I'm almost my 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 1 year. Yeah. So I'm almost out of it. Yeah.
Congratulations ahead of time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really exciting. I got 3 more days.
Like the main.
So they can't get rid of me. Yeah, until my probation. ends.
Oh, yeah.
But are you gonna be taking 2 weeks off?
Sure.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Like I made them, but I was looking for that.
How about you?
Yes, absolutely. I got lucky. I have a staff that's gonna be around still to help out. So I'm definitely, I need a break. Yeah. Yeah,
But don't ask.
yeah. So it should be exciting. I always get really happy for people that are taking time off. Are you gonna be like spending it with family?
Yeah. And my daughter and her husband lived in one place. They come and they'll come up. Oh, yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's
Wonderful. Their little dog, Ladybird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he,
I still say that.
now my daughter, Ladybird is not good with strangers. Well, we bonded. And now it's like, I don't know what. Just, you know, yeah, of course, just don't know what else to do.
I was like, see, we're trying out.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
What I go to.
if they move out, I'm gonna get a dog.
Yeah.
They're only supposed to be there 2 years. So, they're, you know, I'm so attached.
That's really sweet. I love that. 'Cause